This is Chad Shimabukuro with Keller Williams. Wanted to get some information out with regards to the class action lawsuit affecting affecting real estate commissions. This is brand new information as of the last couple of days. First and foremost, I've gotten, and I made a Facebook post about it. If you hadn't seen it, please read it. It's a detailed and I think thoughtful post about what it means and where we are and so forth, kind of bringing people up to speed. I'm making a video though because KW released some information as well as NAR released some information, and I have all my emojis obviously going bananas in the background. And I thought it would be helpful to go through all of it. And here's the long and short of it though. Before I start, as an introduction. Our industry goes through different shifts and changes, and this happens. This happens every few years for a variety of reasons. It could be because of interest rates. It could be because of market shifts. It could be because of, unfortunately, like war, for instance. A lot of economic indicators can impact real estate as a whole, the real estate industry, but the sky's not falling, right? And if we look at it like that, as real estate agents, so I'm talking to my fellow real estate agents in the industry, but also business people that might be tied to real estate. So you might be on the mortgage side of it, title and escrow side of it. You might be an ancillary vendor or a business that supports real estate agents in some way. And I think a lot of people have the thought process and mindset that, the sky's falling and everything's going to change and business is not business as usual. It's not normal. Here's the thing, right? If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. So if you set that limiting mindset in your mind about whatever it is, and it's funny because I remember just something that everyone probably can relate to that's been in the industry for at least a couple of years is when COVID first happened. I remember for the first couple of months, it wasn't the booming market that we all experienced while in COVID in terms of real estate, the real estate boom. But prior to that, for the first couple of few months, everyone was concerned that not only real estate, but every single industry is going to be completely and totally shut down and end forever. Like that was the thought process. That it was like literally the sky is falling type of thought process. And at the end of the day, that didn't happen. It didn't work out like that, right? Which is good. But people thought that. And then we had the real estate boom, and I think people forgot the shifting market was already starting in 2019 because it went bananas in 2020, 2021, and some parts of 2022. And then interest rates started to go up. And when interest rates started to go up, what did agents do and the industry? They paused and said, "Oh my gosh, interest rates are so high." And that's all I kept hearing. Interest rates are so high. The real estate market's going to crash. Real estate interest rates are so high. Real estate's going to crash. But all in all, and historically speaking, interest rates are unbelievably and still historically low. Is it the lowest it's ever been in the history of mortgage and real estate? No, but it's still very historically low. I mean, all you have to do is look back to the 80s for it to be in double digits, and fortunately, we are not there. But even if we were, it rebounds. Things always correct. And at the end of the day, just keep in mind too, real estate is such a bedrock of not only our economy in this country, but also wealth building. It's a bedrock that is very solid, robust, and it's a foundation that a lot of our U.S. economy is based on. And I would say that it's solid. It's still robust. If you speak to or can think of anyone who's owned a home, maybe your parents or grandparents or what have you, that have owned a home for more than 10 years, and you ask them, do you regret purchasing that home? I would say there's probably a 99% chance that they're going to say, of course not, because they have equity and appreciation in a home that they otherwise could not outsave. They couldn't, if it was a race for wealth, your property will perform at a far greater pace, generally speaking, than you could save. Now, every market's a little different, right? There's appreciation markets, there's cash flow markets, but as a general rule of thumb, I don't know of very many people that are regretful for purchasing real estate and getting into investing in real estate to some capacity. So our real estate industry, while it can change, while it can go through, some pivots or what have you, everyone needs a home, and they need to buy and they need to sell and so forth, right? So before I get into some of the questions and answers and things that I think might be super helpful for a lot of people, I do want to point out an example that I think might be helpful is when I first started in real estate, which dating myself is decades ago now, we were coming out of the monthly MLS books. So some of my fellow seasoned and experienced agents that remember receiving monthly books on the MLS that we would get, we were coming out of that and going into online platforms. And the fear at that time from a lot of agents, agents kind of had the position of we're the gatekeepers of information. And if it becomes available online and consumers now have the ability to see what listings are available, then what do they need us for? Oh no, it's the end of real estate agents as we know it, and end of the industry as we know it. And fast forward, what happened is real estate agents just leveled up. Real estate agents became local area experts. They became the economists of choice. They really showed their value as to how they can advocate, protect, and apply the proper fiduciary responsibility to their clients, whether they're representing a buyer or seller. So was it a big change in the industry? All it did was made everything more efficient. So in my opinion, it wasn't harmful. It was actually helpful to both the consumer as well as to real estate agents and brokerages. The information technology, the flow of information, the efficiency of which we received that information was unbelievable. I mean, can you imagine going through books every single month still, and then calling different agents to find out if something's available and if they updated that book or not? I mean, it was very inefficient, that method. So just like that, fast forward to where we are now. And at that time, by the way, they thought gone is the real estate agent, gone is the industry. And where we are today is something similar in terms of the mindset or questions that I get from different people. It seems as if they're concerned as though we're at that time again, that pivotal time where what's going to happen to real estate agents. So as many of you know, there was a class action lawsuit. The class action lawsuit was not something new. It was years in the making. These are things that attorneys, I think, get an opportunity to line their own pockets. And while they typical class action, while they categorize it as we need to slap the hand and slap the wrist of the perpetrators or the violators of these things, and fight for consumers and fight for people's rights, or however they're framing it. At the end of the day, the real winners end up being the attorneys, because they're the ones that keep a vast majority of any settlement. So there was a case that was tried in Missouri to which the plaintiffs won, and this was a couple of days ago. And the concern is, what next? What does that mean? It named in the lawsuit, in this particular lawsuit, was a lot of different real estate brokerages, not all of them certainly, but a lot of them, as well as the National Association of Realtors. So KW released some kind of Q&As. So did NAR, and so did our local board. And I wanted to go through them. So if anyone needs this in writing and wants me to email them a PDF, I'm happy to do so. If you want to look at it, understand it yourself, if you want to call me and chat with me about it, I'm happy to speak with you in more detail about it as well. But I thought I'd start here because hopefully you'll find some help and surety on it. So I'm going to go through the questions, and I'm going to read the answers and go through them and what have you. So the first question that came out is, can I still give cooperative compensation? Can I still give cooperative compensation? Actually, let me back up. What is cooperative compensation? Cooperative compensation refers to the practice of listing agents offering to share part of their commissions with buyer's agents who will bring a willing and able buyer to the table. The practice benefits both buyers and sellers, right? So that's nothing new. What is cooperative compensation? It's sharing of commissions. So the listing agent is sharing the commissions with the other side, the buyer's agent. As a result of this verdict, can I still give cooperative compensation? Yes, you can continue to offer cooperative compensation to buyer's agents. You are still free to negotiate your commissions and decide with your client whether to offer cooperative compensation. It's all about, it's completely, nothing has changed in that regard, by the way. It's still negotiable. By the way, the basis for the case, if you don't know, is antitrust and price fixing and collusion and what have you. While the verdict sided with the plaintiffs in this matter, I could not disagree more. I mean, most intelligent real estate agents know that that's not the case. Nonetheless, we'll get to that in a second. So you can still give cooperative compensation. What does that outcome mean for agents? Every buyer and seller benefits from having a real estate agent. The value of agents is the lifeblood of our industry. So much so that we are the place where entrepreneurs thrive. That's certainly the case with KW. That's our slogan. And we never have and never will tell agents and business owners what to charge. That's certainly KW's position. I would imagine that's very similar with other brokerages, but I can't speak to other brokerages. That's certainly the case with us, KW. It's up to the agents to decide what to charge for their services and how to run their businesses. This will never change. And obviously, we have a brokerage of hundreds of agents locally here in Honolulu. And to validate that point, there are agents within Keller Williams that charge different rates. So there is no price fixing. There is no collusion. One agent might charge more than another one for a variety of reasons. One of them might feel that that's their worth and value, while another one might feel that they want to try to compete with a commission rate or price or whatever it is that seller might be quoted elsewhere. So that is, nothing has changed. That's still exactly the same, where your fees are entirely negotiable. That's something that you set and determine with that conversation you have with your client. What does the Sitzer-Burnett trial outcome mean for KW, at least, and the industry? Our day-to-day operations are completely unaffected. Everyone should stay the course and do the work that's made us great. This fight is far from over. While we are disappointed that before the jury decided this case, the court did not allow them to hear crucial evidence that cooperative compensation is permitted under Missouri law. We believe the trial was unfair. We followed the law regarding cooperative compensation and stood by the evidence presented on the 100-year-old practice of sellers agents offering commissions to other agents. This is not the end. Looking forward, we will consider all options as we assess the verdict and trial record and work toward our appeal. So that specific statement is coming from KW Corporate. And I don't know if you guys heard that, but that's a big thing, right? The court did not allow the jury to hear crucial evidence that cooperative compensation is permitted under Missouri law. In addition to that, it was being followed. It was a 100-year-old practice, so it's not something that's new or out of sorts or not within what the norm would be. It was absolutely done so what we feel is correctly within standards, and more importantly, following the law, the state law. We are one of several defendants. What does this verdict mean to those who settle? So as I mentioned before, a lot of brokerages, along with NAR, the National Association of Realtors, were made part of that lawsuit. While a couple of them settled, a few of them, KW being one of them, fought. And, FYI, hats off to Gary Keller. No matter what brokerage you're with, Gary Keller has fought many, many years, not just this instance, but many, many years for the rights of real estate agents, regardless of what brokerage that you're with. So if you're with another brokerage, you should tip your hat to Gary Keller as well. He wanted to fight, and he knew that the risk is great for him personally, that if he did fight and lost, it would cost him a lot more money than just settling. But it's a matter of integrity and character and principle that he decided to fight. So kudos to him. Okay, so we are one of several defendants. What does this verdict mean to those who settled? The jury found that anywhere and Remax. Anywhere is the name of the company that Coldwell Banker, amongst many others, are part of. Anywhere and Remax, we're part of the alleged conspiracy. Again, conspiracy. We certainly don't agree with that. I'm sure that they don't either. Their contribution to the damages award is fixed by their settlement. So each of them settled for 50 million and 80 million respectively, and their damages are fixed by their settlements. What financial impact will this outcome have on us? Teams which KW, are working as we speak on avenues for appeal, which takes time. Ongoing court actions will determine what, if anything, is actually paid. NAR, National Association of Realtors, plans to ask the court to reduce the damages awarded by the jury. Is the practice of offering commissions to buyer's agents, aka cooperative compensation rule, going to change regardless of the jury's verdict? Listing agents will still likely offer commissions to buyer's agents because it has been proven over decades to benefit both buyers and sellers. That makes sense, right? I mean, here's the long and short of it, which I think is going to happen, is there will be some individuals that will say, I don't want to offer sellers. I don't want to offer the buyer's agent any kind of compensation whatsoever. No problem. And by the way, that can be decided upon even now. So that's nothing has changed in that regard. But let's say that happens, and if the average days on market in a specific area, in a specific market, is like 30 days, once that seller realizes that their home's been on the market for 120 days, and they ask, well, why am I not able to sell it? Likely what they're going to do is like, can we bonus or compensate the buyer's agent to bring us in a willing and able buyer? And then what happens? We're right back to where we started all over again. So I think some sellers may toy with that idea. But I think as a whole, those who are going to want to move their properties in a reasonable time frame realize that that's how you're going to have to do that, right? So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. What does this mean for cooperative compensation between agents? Agents are free to run their business, including deciding what to charge for their services and negotiating commissions with their clients. Again, that's always been the case. This ruling does not change that. Listing agents can still offer commissions to buyer's agents and continue to build great careers in real estate. What are the expected outcomes if cooperative compensation becomes optional for listing a home? Even if the cooperative compensation rule becomes optional, it is anticipated that listing agents will continue offering commissions at their discretion to buyer's agents because it helps both buyers and sellers. Some of the example that I just went through before. Could the rule eventually be eliminated from all MLSs affected with NAR, National Association of Realtors? We don't know if and when that would happen. Some MLSs have modified their rules now to permit listing agents to offer zero to buyer's agents. And as of at least a couple of weeks ago for our local board here, at least on Oahu, you can offer as low as $1, which some agents and some brokerage listing firms already have as $1. So that's there now. They may change it to be able to offer zero, but right now it's $1. Will this verdict change agents' expectations for doing business? While it's possible listing agents in the future may no longer be mandated to offer cooperative compensation to list a home on the MLS, it is anticipated that most listing agents and their clients will still choose to offer cooperative compensation to buyer's agents. What are the next steps legally and the timing? This matter is not close to being final, as we will appeal the jury's verdict and will remain confident that we will prevail. In the interim, we will ask the court to reduce damages awarded by the jury. Due to the nature of appeals, this case likely will be this will not likely be concluded for several years. So the other thing is how substantial this case is, the large monetary damages and so forth that were awarded. If you look at the history of class action lawsuits, it's not a simple process. And while you might lose, and in this case, the industry, and I think consumers at the end of the day lost, believe it or not, while it's framed as if they're saving money, they're not saving money if they can't sell their homes. So that's the crux of it, right? But I think at the end of the day, while this might be a little bit of a snag, there's so much process to go through with appeals and other things that I think that more information will come down. And let's just pretend for a moment, worst case scenario, that we lose the appeal, NAR loses the appeal. There's another lawsuit that's pending as well. They lose that. It's still going to be several years before anything happens, if at all. What will be the basis for NAR's appeal? So this is NAR. We can't speak to the specifics of that until we file our appeal, but we can say that we have a very strong legal basis for that appeal. So this is coming directly from NAR. Is there anything realtors, brokers, state, local associations, or MLSs need to do differently because of this verdict? So just this case, just this week, is there anything different that we need to do? No, not because of the verdict, but NAR has emphasized for many years two important things. One is the use of buyer representation agreements, which maximize transparency by putting all agreements in writing to ensure clarity and understanding, as all members are obligated to do pursuant to NAR Code of Ethics. These agreements formalize the professional working relationship with clients and detail what services consumers are entitled to and what the buyer agent expects from their client in return. Second, it's also imperative for members to continue to express that commissions are negotiable and set between brokers and their clients. Explain how local MLS broker marketplace promote equity, transparency, and market-driven pricing for consumers, and persistently communicate the incredible value agents who are realtors do provide. So you heard it for the first time. It's going to be a theme throughout, and it's going to be a theme moving forward, which is understand and use the buyer's rep agreement. It's there for a reason. What does the future of buyer representation look like as a result of this verdict? This verdict does not require a change in the rules, but if class action attorneys had it their way, buyer representation would be very much at risk because many first-time home buyers, among others, couldn't afford to pay for representation out of pocket. That's a big, big thing if you think about it. It's important that members take every opportunity to express how much they are experts who guide consumers through the financial, legal, and community complexities of buying or selling a home. You know, at the end of the day, first-time homebuyers come to real estate agents to it's not as simple as I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Just find me that property that's under $1 million. It's not that simple. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot that goes behind it. There's a fiduciary representation. There's advocacy. There's a lot of protection. There's negotiation. There's a ton of things that are in play. And for newer agents, you have to just know and understand what your value is and what you as a licensed real estate agent brings to the table. And if you don't know, by all means, speak with your mentor, broker, coach. You can call me. I'm happy to help anyone who needs help too. Does NAR have the funds to pay the proposed damages or post a bond to file an appeal? NAR is going to appeal and has the funds to post bond, which allows us to proceed with our appeals and defer potential payment of damages. While appeals take years, and we are confident that we will ultimately prevail, we are also financially prepared for any final judgment. How does this verdict affect other ongoing litigation, including the other seller lawsuit? It doesn't. Cases are tried separately, and we remain confident we will ultimately prevail because we have a strong case we'll present on appeal and because our rules are pro-consumer and pro-business competitive. Do you expect the plaintiff to seek an injunction that would require NAR to stop making the rule mandatory or eliminate the rule altogether? This is coming from NAR. While we cannot predict what plaintiffs will do, we would contest any such effort because this rule always has been in place to protect and serve the best interests of consumers, support market-driven pricing, and advance business competition. By the way, competition is good, right? Competition is good for sellers because that competitive market is what gets them the best price possible. Is there any scenario where NAR would consider settling? NAR always has been open to a resolution that maintains a way for buyers and sellers to continue to benefit from the cooperation of real estate professionals and eliminate our members' risks of liability for the claims alleged. That being said, we remain confident we will prevail on our appeal. What's the status with the Department of Justice, and has anything changed with this verdict? We reached an agreement with the DOJ nearly 2 years ago. And NAR has upheld our end of the agreement, and we expect the DOJ to do the same as affirmed by the federal court's careful ruling. This is a separate matter from the case of Burnett versus NAR. That's the case that was just settled or just adjourned. Would NAR ever consider changing the cooperative compensation rule? The rule always has been in place to protect and serve the best interests of consumers, support market-driven pricing, and advance business competition. NAR consistently reviews and considers evolving its rules to a way that responds to changes in the industry and what best serves consumers. Possible questions and inquiries from sellers, buyers, potential clients posed to you or your sales agents. Current and potential sellers may ask if they are required to agree to the listing brokerage compensation and cooperative brokerage representing the buyer. So that happens now. Then I mean, it's kind of funny because agents and certain individuals might be concerned or not sure how to proceed, but nothing has changed. Everything is negotiable in terms of total compensation as well as what compensation is going to be provided to a buyer's brokerage. Same thing. You just have to make sure that you explain that it's completely entirely negotiable. They might ask questions about it. Buyers requesting offering on a property. So the one thing that you do have to explain is buyers requesting offering on a property which is not offering a cooperative commission to the buyer's brokerage firm. So you have to, in a proper buyer consultation, you have to explain what that looks like. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer is going to make an offer on something that currently in its present form does not have any compensation associated with it. So how will that agent be compensated? In that very loose scenario, it would have to come from the buyer, or you're going to have to negotiate that. Even though it says zero compensation, you'll have to negotiate that somewhere or form with the listing agent or seller. And then lastly, the importance of the buyer's representation agreement. More than ever, it is vital that we convey, communicate, and explain our value to buyers, sellers, and our communities. The buyer representation contract establishes obligations of the brokerage firm and the buyer and provides an opportunity to explain our services and value to the buyer, as well as the transparency as how the brokerage firm is compensated. This form is included in the standard forms library on Zip Forms for your use as a benefit for your Hawaii Realtor membership. So I just wanted to go through some of that press release documentation information. If you guys need that to look into it further, to understand it, to maybe use it when you're consulting your teams or what have you, I'm happy to give it to you. You can always reach me at this information, chadshima@kw.com. You can always call or text me, 808-754-5800. I am always happy to help teach, even if it's outside our brokerage. If someone needs me, as always, we come from contribution with KW, so I'm happy to speak to your agents or you personally or privately, confidentially. If you need help understanding what's going on, happy to do so. My agents, obviously, you guys know how to get in touch with me. I can email you. I have PDFs. I made a great post. It's a lengthy one, but it's well worth the read, to my personal Facebook page, as well as a couple of other forums and pages. Please read it. I think it'll be helpful to you. An analogy that I want to just kind of leave you with is last year, 1.3 million people died of dehydration. And interestingly, I say that because the transition, people are always concerned with, is the glass empty or half full? And this is a perfect example of that. Is it half empty or half full? There's water in the glass. It doesn't matter if it's half empty or full. There's water in the glass. Drink it. Don't be that person that suffers from dehydration when there's water in the glass regardless. This is an amazing industry, not only for consumers to get into wealth building, to build their wealth, to build their legacy, to affect and change generational wealth. The same goes for those that are in the industry that are champions of the industry, which is real estate agents and brokers alike. It's an unbelievable industry. Super powerful industry if you're in it, for the right reasons as well. And while our industry will always change and conform to what the market demands, as agents, we shouldn't fight what the market demands. We should change along with it. But regardless of the outcome of this matter, that is just a couple of days old now, It's going to take, as I've mentioned, several years for the thing to entirely pan out to figure out what direction we're heading in. But one skill set that every agent can do better on is understanding a buyer's representation agreement, and then building that into, if you're not already doing it now, you should be doing it no matter what, is buyer consultation. So I will be leaning into and teaching far more classes on this matter. So if anyone wants to attend a class, wants to learn more about this lawsuit and what it means to you and how to operate within it, please reach out to me. But I'm going to be teaching classes on buyer consultation and buyer's rep agreement, and the impact of this lawsuit, if any, and as we get updates as we go along. So I appreciate you. I know it's a long video, but I think it's super important to at least have a resource for you guys to be able to go to and look at. Again, if you need these questions on a PDF, just let me know. You can reach me via email or text or phone. And guys, get back to work and make it a good one. If you have any questions, let me know. But I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.